goes forward this time. That is very well struck. Just short of the boundary.
Veena Krishnamurthy, as you saw, skipper Mithali Raj.
She was living her dream of representing India until the COVID-19 pandemic, like many, left her in shambles.
Lovely. Very, very nice.
9 members of Veda's family battled COVID-19 and her mother and sister passed away within 2 weeks of each other in May. 76 T20Is and 48 ODIs in a span of close to 10 years have made her a familiar face in the Indian women's cricket. Not too long ago, Veda and her teammates were basking in the glory, having made it to the final of the T20 World Cup a year ago. But the deaths in her family left her to battle with mental illness, although she's trying her best to tune herself out of grief.
That's a big shot.
In sport, every player has to go through many ups and downs, and athletes, including the Indian captain Virat Kohli, have often spoken about mental health. But Veda has not kept her mental issues to herself. She chose to speak about it and make the world aware. Bureau Report, India Today.
Krishna.
The first thing I wanted to ask you, just to understand for myself and for everyone. I mean, you have written about it or you have spoken about it, but I do think, and I'm putting it on record, that the courage to stand up to this, I don't think I have what you've been able to show. Give me a sense of when you said that, oh, it was a learning experience, and the fact that you have spoken about it is because it's for the people of this country, and there's still a huge mass that doesn't understand this virus. And by speaking out, you're actually making a difference to each one of us. What did you mean by that? And just give me the details.
See, like I said, when I myself was not aware of a lot of things, if I knew, had I known what COVID pneumonia is, had I known that, symptoms can be different, had I known that this second wave is severe, it is not like how it was in the first wave last year, whatever we experienced, maybe things could have been different. I'm not saying what I am going through or what has happened wouldn't have happened, but you never know. Maybe we could have put in a little bit more effort. Maybe the day my sister fell sick, probably the next day itself, we could have just consulted a doctor directly, going to a hospital or something like that. Maybe something we could have done. We could have avoided a lot of things. The ones who got infected at the initial stage, like I said, my mom, my sister, my sister-in-law, my elder sister, maybe we could have avoided the rest of them getting infected. Maybe my dad, my nephew, my nieces, maybe we could have avoided that. Maybe the trauma would have been less. Maybe the effect of it would have been less to my sister and mom, because somewhere down the line, I feel they panicked. My mom panicked because everybody was tested positive, and my sister, obviously, like I said, it was 3-4 days late, because we didn't know that, it could have been severe like this. So that is the only thing I want people to know. I'm not saying that the large population of India would read this or see this or understand what it is, but even if it could make a difference to 1% or 2% of the population, where they see it and understand, okay, there is something called as these terminologies are difficult for people, normal people, to remember and understand what exactly is happening. At least when they are in that situation, they'd be able to ask the concerned people, like a doctor or someone, like, just do the actions, whatever is required at that time. That was the only thing. I felt that this needs to be out and people needs to know what's happening.
Can you just tell a little bit more as to what you went through, so that common people, whoever is listening to us, to you rather, gets to know and follows this, so that he or she can save one life? Give me the details.
See, a normal thing, what especially in India, how things go about is, I did mention, I've been speaking to a lot of people, the generation after me, that is the generation where you fall sick, you don't go to the hospital. You've fallen sick, you don't know what's happening in the body. You just just tend to go on doing your daily work or daily routines, going about saying that I might be just tired because I might have exerted too much at home. That is exactly what everybody felt with my sister when she fell sick the first time. She said, she kept saying, I'm fine. Her fever, she had cough, she's been coughing all day, but every time we asked her, how are you feeling? Is there, are you feeling tired? Are you struggling to breathe or anything like that? She kept saying she's fine. Because for the fact that is what is being instilled like in them, saying that falling sick or falling, having fever or cough or whatever, it doesn't matter. You sit at home, you'll be fine. You don't need a doctor for that. You don't need to have medicines for that. So those are the things which they have, it's inbuilt in them. Like my mom has never been admitted in a hospital. That was the first time she was admitted when she got COVID. So this is how it has been. Like you even tell them if they're feeling a little bit tired or whatever, say, okay, let's go to the hospital, let's get it checked. They're like, no, not required, I'll be fine. Just give me 2 days time, I'll be fine. That is what it has been. But with me or even my other sister for that matter, we are like a smallest of pain or any discomfort in the body. We are like, okay, maybe my leg is hurting today because of what I did. Or maybe I need a painkiller, or maybe I need a stretch or something like that. So those are the things which people still neglect. The whole part of this being so severe is negligence, losing out on 2 days, 3 days. When it gets severe in the end is where you're like trying to seek help. But it's your body, it doesn't, like, especially when lungs are affected, what I've understood from whatever has happened, the lungs are affected, you can't breathe, your heart stops. And there is no medicine for it. There is nothing that you could make a lung work. It's not like you can do a transplant of lungs or whatever it is, where you like in the end where you can have different options.
The issue of mental health, I mean, you alluded to it. The days in the hotel, I mean, in our country, there is no consciousness whatsoever about a sportsperson's mental health. It's appalling. Can you tell me a little bit more what you went through? You were in the hotel, you weren't positive, so you were the only person who was sort of negotiating, trying to get everything arranged for the family. Just give me whatever information you can possibly give me and your take on mental health.
See, mental health, again, it is the same thing. The society doesn't accept it. The society doesn't see it as something which is very important. Again, if you say that you're feeling bad about something, you're depressed or you're feeling emotional about certain things, they just say like it's fine. So if something like in my case, if tomorrow I say that I was very emotional because I lost people, like I lost 2 people in my life, they would say, oh, it is natural that you're being emotional, but they don't see the other factors which is happening because of it. Lack of sleep, lack of appetite, you're not able to think properly, you're not able to do a lot of things. These are all which comes in that emotional part of it. People don't see that. They just see it as a normal thing. And they feel that if anything like that happens, maybe a few days, then you'll be normal. You'll get back to life and things like that. But your mind doesn't let you do a lot of things when you look at it. You probably will be sitting and staring at a wall or a TV or something. Nothing is registering in your head. Nothing is going. You don't know what you're doing. Your life is like, it's not only with the death or whatever it is. As a sports person, you go through it n number of times with a lot of things. If things are not going well, if you're not in a good form, you're not doing well, the team's not doing well, a lot of factors come into play. But again, nobody speaks about it. If someone is going through a bad patch, they just say they're going through a bad patch. In case of elite athletes, especially in India, there's a lot of people who come and talk shit about it on social media. There's a lot of trolls and things saying that, oh, what, she doesn't know anything, she doesn't know how to play, I don't know why she's even playing for the country, she should be dropped, she should be done this, she should have gone, like all the other things. There are 100,000 people coming up with 100,000 things. But as an individual, when you're going through a lot of it, if you don't know how to come out of it, nobody is going to help you come out of it. You yourself has to understand that there is a problem mentally which is happening and you need help. You need to seek help. Seeking help doesn't make you feel weak or doesn't show you that you're crazy or you've lost it in your head. It is like you're trying to come out of things because of the different factors which are going around. That is why I've mentioned about mental health a lot of times. It's not just now. There are times in the past where I've felt anxiety, where I've felt I'm not able to think straight. I've tried to seek help. It's not about someone else doing it to you. It is you need to figure out what's happening. Nobody knows what's in your head. I can still laugh around and pretend that things are normal, but I know what is happening inside. If I am having a conversation with someone and I'm showing to that person that everything is fine, that person's going to think that I'm fine. Until and unless I seek for help saying that, I'm not feeling right about certain things. You may not be able to put it in words and explain what exactly it is, but you can try. You can try to explain things to whoever you feel you're comfortable. That is what happened with me at the first case. I am someone who doesn't express a lot of things, especially what's in my head. I like to keep it to myself and try and solve it. But when things escalated is where I realized that I need to speak. And not that I had to really explain a lot of things. I just had to tell to a few of my friends saying that I think there is something wrong with me. I need help. That is all I had to do. And what they did in the end was they found contacts of psychologists where I could go and do the sessions, speak out, because I was comfortable talking to a stranger than talking to someone who I'm very close with, because I didn't wanted people around me to know what is happening. And like I said, the sympathy is something which is really overrated. You don't want people to give you sympathy. Maybe that was the reason I didn't wanted people around me who are close to know what is happening. And I wanted a complete stranger and a pair of ears to listen to what I'm saying. Maybe getting it off my system helped me, and I was able to come out of it. It was not like I was in deep problem where I needed a lot of months to recover. It happened in a couple of months, a few sessions, and I was fine. I was back in my life, being happy and going about things. And again, this is another kind of thing which, like I said, this is happening for the first time in my life, so I don't know how to deal with it. And though I know for the fact that I need to speak to people, I need to speak to someone who can help me, I'm still not ready to do it. Like, I have my friends who've come up to me and said that you need to speak, you need to tell what's happening. And I still haven't come in terms of expressing what I'm feeling, because I don't want to talk about it. I feel the wound is too fresh at the moment in my body itself, in my system, where it will not heal. It will rather, make it even more worse. Talking about it will make me more emotional. So I want to get out of it first, where I feel that I am comfortable, I've accepted, and I want to move on, is where probably I can go and ask for help and speak about it and see what I can do. Again, it is about individual choice and how you want to go about it. Because I have faced the mental issues earlier, maybe I'm able to come up with a decision what I want to do at the moment. Had this happened and I didn't have any prior experience with how to deal with mental health, I probably would have been in a very worse position than what I am in right now, mentally. But like I said, it is about individual thing, but asking for help and seeking help is the most important thing. You need to speak for yourself what is happening, and I'm sure everybody has a lot of people around them who love them, who want to see them happy and care for them. Sure, they'll come up with different set of ideas and things what needs to be done. But yeah, I've been telling people that, talking about mental health is not a bad thing. In fact, it's a good thing.
The other thing, Veda, that you've mentioned, and something that I mean, again, it leaves a deep impact, is the fact that both of them, your mom and your sister, they considered you to be their favorite player. So where is sport? I mean, sort of, just give me a sense of that. I mean, from that, I just had this little sort of tinge of that I will see you soon. I will see you back at the ground. I mean, maybe for them, maybe for the country, they considered you to be a daughter of the nation first before their daughter. Incredible words. I mean, maybe if there were more Veda Krishnamurtis in this country, we would be a far better place to live in. But a thought on that, and will we see you back for them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to run away from what I've been doing. Well, like I said, when I moved to the hotel, when the weekend lockdown was just announced, I did speak to the hotel people, like grab whatever I wanted from their hotel gym, and it was in my room. And I remember showing it to my mom, and she was happy, saying that, okay, you're not going to sit idle, or you're not going to, miss out on. Obviously, we couldn't go out and train or do any cricket practice, but she was happy that I would be able to train. Even my sister, when I used to speak to her while she was at the ICU, I showed her that I have got a few things in the room, and she was like, because she was thinking at that time maybe because the IPL was happening and things like that, she thought that we might have a T20 challenge as well. So she was talking about it. So maybe I will come back. I will put in efforts. I'll get me back on the field, but at this point there's nothing happening, so I can't really say how to do it or how to get back into the Indian team. But yeah, I mean, the efforts from my side will always be there.
But one point, Veda, you mentioned that the issue about panic and mental strength, and you mentioned your own self, you mentioned about your mom. Is that something you again want to talk about a little bit for people who are going through this? And do you think that is something that could have helped things a little bit? Can you just allude to that?
I don't know, I might be wrong, but my analysis of all of this is, if you are strong mentally, and if you are able to cope with things, especially the ones who are infected or in the hospital, mental thing is very important. If you stay strong, you can actually come over it and fight the virus and come back home and live happily ever after. But if you panic and if you're scared, it's not helping. In our case, in my house, it didn't help both of them. My sister had a panic attack twice. Mom was completely fine the previous night, and the night she figured that everybody else is tested positive and her oxygen started deteriorating the next day. Until then, we were not worried about my mom, we were not worried about my other sister. It was my sister who had COVID, the elder one who had COVID pneumonia, is where we were worried that, it's going to be difficult for her because she was struggling from day one. Never really thought that mom would actually leave us in such a way. Again, it is all in your head. Like, how do you want to go through and how do you want to face this thing? When all of that happened, and another example is my brother was completely fine. He just had a little bit of cough and things like that. He was at home quarantine, isolated and all of that. But the minute after my mom passed away, he was completely down. Mentally, he was shut. He was feeling very weak. And his infection escalated. He got into a stage where he got critical and we needed to, put him in the hospital. He was in the hospital for a week or so. And then after that, my cousins and his friends talking to him constantly is why he's back home today. Had he been a little bit strong to take all of it, he wouldn't need hospitalization. So that is what I'm saying. The minute you feel mentally down, the infection is actually increasing rapidly in your body. The immune system is slowing down when you're not feeling confident and you're not feeling strong. So it is, maybe you need to, say things, maybe have false things telling it to yourself that everything is going to be fine. But you need to accept and realize that that is how it has been in my own experience in my house, that people who have been headstrong have not been affected as much as the one who felt the pressure and felt that panic and things have gone worse.
The only thing I will say is, even after 15-16 months, we know very little about the virus. Still.
True.
Because in your case, you didn't get infected. You were together. I mean,
Yeah.
Why didn't you get infected? There is no scientific evidence to show how someone is getting infected, how someone is not. All we know is there are therapeutics coming. We know the vaccines work. We know at least this country needs to get vaccinated as soon as possible so that we can possibly save lives. And Veda, having gone through this, will you say a few words on that? I mean, because there is still a very strong anti-vaccine lobby, which is very, very prominent in this country, that is saving, stopping people from saving lives. So word on that.
I mean, when you don't know how you're getting infected, nobody knows how you can get infected. Nobody has any idea how to deal with the virus. People who know about the virus have come up with the vaccine. I think it is, if you are smart enough, get yourself vaccinated. That's the best chance you have to fight against the virus. Otherwise, you're sitting at home like a sitting duck. You don't know what's going to happen. I think whoever feels that vaccines are not working or will not work, you still don't know whether it will not work or not unless you get yourself vaccinated and do all of it. And another thing I would like to say, my dad had got his 2 doses of vaccine, is why he's alive today. Had it not been the case, probably it would have been different. Though it was the vaccine date was very close to where people got infected, still saved him from being more worse. In my mother's case, she had taken her first dose. She was due on her second dose a few days after she got infected. But again, it's about doing the smart thing at this moment. When you don't know how to deal with things, listen to people who have done it, dealt with it, and telling you that this is what needs to be done. And I think there is it's a no-brainer for people to go and get vaccinated. At least you're giving yourself a chance to fight against the virus rather than sitting at home. Because what I've read in the past few days is people just sitting at home are infected because they don't know from where they've got infected. So in my case, in our case as well, my mom never stepped out of the house. Here there was no cases at all in Kadur. How they got infected, I don't know. We had come from Bangalore, but I have tested negative. My nephew's tested negative. My brother's first test was negative. My friend's first test was negative. So we can't really say that it has come from Bangalore, because if that was the case, everybody would have tested positive. So you don't know from where, we don't know from where we've got. Despite of taking all the precautions, staying safe, staying indoors, and following all the things, you don't know. So the best chance for us to fight the virus is to get ourselves vaccinated. And people who have not done it, even now, please go ahead and do it. Do the needful as soon as possible, because again, you need to be fully vaccinated for you to fight against the virus. You can't just take first dose and sit at home, because there is a gap between first and second dose which needs to be done. So don't waste time. Do it. We've been hearing a lot of things that third wave is coming. I don't really know what you could do best, but yeah, for yourself, get vaccinated. If not for yourself, do for the people who love you, who are in your family, who wants to see you alive.
I'm there, Veda. I'm very there. All I will say is, you are younger to me, much younger, but I don't have half the courage that you do. I don't. And I've got no qualms in saying that. I don't have half the courage to speak out like you've done, whether it is on the issues of mental health or trying to help people at times when things were dire in your case. All I will say is if there were many or more like you, this country of ours would be a better country. So for the two people who have left us, my respects to them, but they have a daughter and a sister who has been invested with certain attributes which we as ordinary and normal Indians are very proud of. So I will await that day when I see you back in the blue color or whenever you step back on that field, because it will be for the two of them and it will be for all of us as to what our country is all about, Vedakrishna. So my deepest respects, my love and affection, and if there's anything that ever we can do, we are all there. But for you being there for all of us, even in the midst of all of this, all I will say is my deepest respects. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.